There are whispers in the soul, truths so profound they shouldn't be cast into the clamor of the world. After 60, we learn that not every truth needs an audience. Not because we have something to hide, but because some sacred understandings are meant only for those who have earned the right to truly listen. Think of it. A lifetime of experiences, a tapestry woven with threads of joy, sorrow, triumph, and quiet resilience. Each thread holds a story, a lesson. But do all these stories demand an open stage? Do all lessons require a loud proclamation? The answer, often, is no. What you choose to reveal becomes exposed, vulnerable to judgment, misunderstanding, or indifference. But what you choose to protect, what you hold close within the sanctuary of your own being, that keeps you profoundly grounded. It cultivates an inner strength that no external force can erode. Imagine standing firm like an ancient oak, weathering every storm, not by shouting defiance, but by the quiet, unyielding strength of its roots. That is the power of discernment, the wisdom of knowing when silence speaks louder than words. Today, we embark on a journey through 9 such truths, 9 profound insights that are often better kept close to your heart, even if the initial silence initially stings. This isn't about living in fear or retreating from the world. On the contrary, it's about embracing a path to live with authentic power, with an unwavering sense of self. It's about understanding that your peace, your wisdom, and your very essence are treasures to be guarded, not commodities to be constantly explained or justified. The last of these truths, if you allow its essence to truly resonate within you, might just unlock a profound peace you've quietly yearned for across decades, a stillness that transcends all the noise. I am New Nguyen Thi, and if you are truly ready to cease endlessly justifying your existence and begin the liberating journey of honoring your own profound story, I invite you to stay with me. This conversation won't offer fleeting comforts, nor will it simply entertain. Instead, it will gently, yet firmly, remind you of a fundamental truth. Your life is not an argument to be won, a debate to be endlessly defended. It is, at its core, a choice to be lived. A choice to live with intention, with dignity, and with a quiet strength that emanates from within. We live in a world that constantly demands explanation, that often equates silence with weakness and privacy with secrecy. But for those of us who have walked through many seasons, we know better. We understand that true strength often lies in what we don't say, in the battles we don't engage in, and in the peace we choose to cultivate. This journey into the power of selective silence is rooted deeply in the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches us to distinguish between what is within our control and what is not, to cultivate inner virtue, and to find tranquility amidst life's inevitable challenges. It's about building an unshakable fortress within your mind, one thought, one conscious choice at a time. If this philosophy resonates with your spirit, if you're seeking a deeper understanding of how to navigate the latter chapters of life with grace, resilience, and an even stronger sense of purpose, then I urge you to consider becoming a part of our community. I invite you to subscribe to the Stoic Philosophy channel right now. By joining us, you'll unlock a wealth of insights and principles designed to help your mind become stronger, your days more peaceful, and your life truly happier. We explore ancient wisdom for modern living, providing tools and perspectives to help you face every day with equanimity and unwavering inner resolve. This is a space for genuine growth, for profound reflection, and for building a life of meaning, regardless of external circumstances. Let us begin this vital conversation together. Have you ever truly noticed that subtle, almost imperceptible shift in the air when the conversation drifts toward the quiet aches that accompany the march of time? That quick, averted glance or the sudden, almost frantic change of subject often signals more than just discomfort. It hints at a pervasive challenge in our modern world, a collective unease with vulnerability, especially the kind that comes with age. Some silences, you see, are not chosen. They are imposed. They are the silent walls that rise when we try to share the raw, lived experience of our aging bodies, our changing lives, or our hard-won solitude. And in a society that often, perhaps unconsciously, shies away from anything less than perfect, anything that hints at decline, our deepest truths can feel profoundly unwelcome, even burdensome to others. We, as individuals who have weathered many storms and seen many seasons, still yearn for something fundamental: empathy. We long to be truly seen, to be heard without judgment, to have our experiences acknowledged and held with understanding. Yet, too often, when we cautiously extend a piece of our authentic selves, the creaking joint, the quiet evenings alone, the dreams that still burn bright, we are met not with the embrace of compassion, but with a form of polite avoidance. It might be a gentle redirection of the conversation, a subtle suggestion that we are perhaps exaggerating, or a dismissive silence that speaks volumes. This isn't necessarily malice on their part. It's often a manifestation of emotional timidity, a discomfort with pain and vulnerability that our fast-paced, youth-obsessed culture has, tragically, fostered. Consider the profound irony. After decades of giving, nurturing and supporting, after building lives and legacies, we find ourselves in a chapter where expressing our own needs or realities can feel like an imposition. We carry the quiet wisdom of a lifetime, the scars of battles fought and won, the resilience forged in fire. Yet, when we attempt to share the nuanced tapestry of this later life, we often encounter a societal narrative that seeks to erase, to numb, to forget. Our bodies, which remember every single breath, every single ache, every profound joy and sorrow, suddenly feel too human for others to comfortably handle. They want the curated version, the glossy photograph, not the lived, breathing reality of a temple showing its magnificent, hard-earned cracks. The challenge then becomes profoundly clear. How do we discern when our silence becomes a shield for our dignity rather than a prison for our voice? How do we protect our inner peace from the insidious erosion of misunderstanding and unspoken judgments? This isn't merely about personal preference, it's about reclaiming our autonomy, our self-respect, and our emotional sovereignty. It's about understanding that our worth is not measured by our ability to always be fine or to constantly explain away our true experiences. We stand at a critical juncture in this stage of life. We have the opportunity and perhaps the obligation to shed the burdens of external expectations and societal pressures. The problem is that we often default to old patterns. We explain when we should be quiet, we justify when we should simply assert, and we seek validation where none is truly available. This perpetuates a cycle of frustration and disappointment. It leaves us feeling unseen, unheard, and often profoundly alone, even in a crowded room. The true challenge lies in breaking these ingrained habits, in recognizing the profound power of our own inner wisdom, and in choosing to wield silence not as a tool of fear, but as an expression of absolute, unshakable strength. This is the path we must navigate, with intention and courage. The path to inner strength. As we navigate the currents of later life, we discover that true strength often lies not in what we loudly proclaim, but in the profound wisdom we cultivate in silence. This section delves into 6 crucial truths, each a silent ally in our journey towards an unshakable inner peace and dignity. We'll explore how releasing the need to explain, justify, or confess certain aspects of our experience can radically transform our sense of self and our interactions with the world. These are not about hiding, they are about guarding what is sacred, about understanding that some battles are won not with argument, but with dignified stillness. Through the lens of Stoicism, we will uncover how to protect our energy, honor our boundaries, and redefine success on our own terms, moving from a life of constant external validation to one rooted in self-respect and profound tranquility. Each point is a step towards reclaiming the power that has always resided within you, waiting to be fully acknowledged and fiercely protected. Part 1. Your body is not a topic for your children. Consider this first, profoundly important truth, often overlooked in its quiet significance. Your body, with its accumulating wisdom and its inevitable wear, is not a subject for casual discussion with your children. This isn't a judgment against them. Rather, it's an observation of a pervasive societal dynamic. Your raw vulnerability, the honest depiction of your pain, your physical weariness, it often makes them deeply uncomfortable. And in our fast-paced, often youth-obsessed world, whatever causes discomfort is quickly, subtly swept aside. Yet, you, the bearer of this body, carry your truth every single day. The aches that greet you in the morning, the limitations that whisper at your heels, the fatigue that settles in after a busy day, these are your constant companions. The deepest sorrow in this exchange isn't that your children might not care or that they are intentionally neglectful. No, the sorrow lies in our continued, hopeful explanation, in our persistent narratives of pills taken, hips hurting, doctor visits logged. Why do we do this? Because deep down we are yearning for empathy. We are hoping that by articulating the burden, someone, perhaps the very people we raised, will look us in the eye and say, "I'm here. I see your struggle." But what often arrives instead is that heavy, suffocating silence. It's the swift excuse to change the subject, the subtle suggestion that you might be exaggerating or simply getting older. This isn't born of malice, it's an emotional cowardice, a profound inability to sit with discomfort. We live in a time that doesn't know how to walk hand in hand with pain. It only wants to erase it, numb it, forget it. And your body, which remembers every scar, every triumph, every long night and every arduous day, feels too profoundly human for them to handle. I vividly recall an image that has stayed with me, a poignant testament to this very truth. An older woman, frail but resolute, sat alone in a doctor's waiting room, meticulously recounting every symptom, every minor discomfort to the receptionist and then, later, to the doctor in painstaking detail. It was as if, by doing so, she felt she could justify her presence, justify the need for care, as if she had to prove her body had valid reasons to be ailing. And behind all that relentless explaining, beneath the surface of medical inquiry, there wasn't just a desire for physical relief. There was a silent, aching plea to be seen. A longing for her lived experience, her very being, to be acknowledged as valid and deserving of compassionate attention. In many spiritual traditions, we're taught that the body is a temple of the spirit. But what do we do when that temple begins to show cracks, when it groans and creaks under the immense weight of time? Do we hide it away, ashamed? Do we apologize for its wear, for the magnificent journey it has endured? The Stoics saw this differently, with a profound clarity that cuts through modern anxieties. Marcus Aurelius, himself an emperor, old and weary, grappling with his own mortality and bodily ailments, wrote that the body is an integral part of life's natural, unfolding cycle. We should accept it without drama, without lamentation, but crucially, also without shame. Not to worship it in its physical perfection, but to avoid using its imperfections as a means to beg for attention or pity. Your body doesn't need defending. It needs respect. And that profound respect, ironically, sometimes starts by staying silent with those who are simply not ready or unwilling to truly hold space for what you carry. Take care of your body with unwavering resolve, with the same meticulous care you would give a precious, aging heirloom. Tend to its needs, honor its limitations, but do not, under any circumstances, make it a topic of justification. Don't explain your pain. Don't endlessly seek comfort where you are consistently met with avoidance or discomfort. Some battles, the most meaningful ones, are faced with a quiet, dignified silence. This is one of them. Because as long as you continue to speak, hoping they will react in the way you yearn for, you will remain tethered to an expectation that, more often than not, leads only to a deepening sense of frustration and loneliness. True strength lies not in constantly articulating your pain, but in accepting your body as it is, caring for it as best you can, and staying quietly resolute around those who consistently refuse to genuinely listen. Your dignity isn't found in how eloquently you describe your ailments. It's found in how you choose to live with them without handing your voice and your power to someone who, frankly, doesn't want to hear it. That is the fundamental difference between fragility and profound, unshakable power. And you, even in your pain, even with the weight of years, are still undeniably powerful. Part 2. Stop explaining why you're still alone. As we learn to care for our bodies without turning them into a constant narrative of justification, another invisible weight often lingers, one we carry perhaps without even realizing its profound cost to our inner peace. This brings us to a second, deeply liberating truth. Stop explaining why you're still alone. Solitude, when consciously chosen, when embraced with intention, can be a magnificent, profound form of peace. It can be a fertile ground for self-discovery, a quiet sanctuary where your true self can flourish, unburdened by external demands and expectations. Yet, when this solitude is fundamentally misunderstood by others, when it clashes with societal norms, it quickly transforms into an unfair, often heavy, burden. How many times have you been met with that unsettling mix of pity and thinly veiled judgment, disguised as concern? The loaded questions. So, are you thinking about finding someone? Or, why don't you try dating again? These aren't innocent inquiries. They carry a silent implication, a deep-seated societal belief that being alone is somehow a mistake to be fixed, a condition to be treated, or a temporary phase only justified if you are actively, desperately searching for something better. But the liberating truth is this: you are not incomplete. You are not waiting for anyone to complete you. You are a whole, self-sufficient being. And crucially, you owe no one an explanation for your choices, particularly those that define your most intimate living arrangement. In Stoic philosophy, the good life, the eudaimonia, human flourishing, is one lived in profound harmony with your own nature, with your deepest values and preferences. If your current nature, forged by experience and profound self-awareness, now finds profound serenity in solitude, why then should you ever feel obligated to justify it to anyone else? Marcus Aurelius, that profound observer of the human condition, penned it with crystal clarity. Look within. There is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig. But digging within, particularly in solitude, can feel acutely painful, especially when others look at you with that subtle gaze as if you have somehow failed in some unspoken duty to find companionship. As if being a woman, particularly after a certain age, always inherently meant having someone by your side. As if choosing a solitary path were a stark sign of abandonment, or worse, a profound personal failure. This isn't just unfair, it's a quiet, insidious form of psychological violence. It subtly undermines your agency and your inherent worth. Many simply cannot or will not understand that choosing to be alone after years, decades perhaps, of ceaselessly giving yourself away, of pouring your energy into others, can be the most powerful, most liberating act of freedom imaginable. They fail to grasp that there are women who, having navigated the turbulent waters of relationships, having endured the silent battles and the constant compromises, no longer desire to argue over trivialities. There are women who are profoundly unwilling to surrender their precious space, their hard-won energy, or their finite time just to fulfill a socially accepted, often stifling role. Women who have already raised children, who have already held families together through sheer will, who have already sacrificed so much of themselves on the altar of duty and expectation, and now, finally, they choose the profound calm of their own room. They embrace the deep silence punctuated only by the comforting steam from a warm cup of tea. They relish the exquisite freedom of sleeping uninterrupted, of thinking their own thoughts without needing anyone's permission, without filtering them through another's gaze. But, of course, this is not something you articulate loudly. Because when you voice this truth, it makes people profoundly uncomfortable. When you stand in your sacred right to be alone, not with sadness or regret, but with a quiet joy, the world, or at least certain parts of it, loses its convenient excuse to pity you. And tragically, there are people who need to perceive you as incomplete, as needing rescue, precisely so they can feel useful, so they can maintain a sense of control over your narrative. But you, my dear, do not need rescuing. You have already survived abandonment, heartbreaks that felt like earthquakes, and the relentless wear of the years. You have emerged, not unscathed, but stronger, wiser, and more complete than ever before. You owe no one your reasons. You do not need to explain anything. Think of the enduring, powerful figure of the hermit in so many spiritual traditions across time. She is not the defeated woman hiding from the world in shame or failure. No, she is the one who consciously steps back, who retreats from the external clamor precisely to find herself, to reconnect with her deepest essence. She is the one who discovers, in the profound silence of her own company, a truth that no one, absolutely no one, can ever take away from her. Sometimes your solitude is your most sacred temple, and not everyone is invited to enter its hallowed halls. If you genuinely feel peace in your own company, if your heart feels a profound calm when you close your door to the world, if you have meticulously learned to simply be with yourself without fear, without internal judgment, then you no longer need to exhaust yourself trying to convince anyone else that it is enough. Let go of that incessant need to explain. You don't owe it to them. You don't need it for yourself. Solitude isn't a lack, an emptiness to be filled. It is, for the brave and the self-aware, a kind of profound fullness, a richness that only those courageous enough to embrace it can truly comprehend. And you, if you have made it this far, if this message resonates, are someone who no longer needs to be understood by the world to live a life brimming with meaning. Part 3. Don't reveal how deeply you've been disappointed. And as solitude ceases to be something you feel compelled to explain, another, even quieter battle often weighs on many, day after day, without them fully realizing the immense cost to their inner strength. This brings us to a third, deeply uncomfortable yet profoundly liberating truth. Do not reveal how deeply you've been disappointed. Some wounds, particularly those etched by profound disappointment, are simply not meant to become casual conversation topics. Not because they aren't real, oh, they are acutely, searingly real, but because speaking of them repeatedly with people who lack the capacity or the willingness to truly hold space for your pain is akin to opening a fresh wound in the middle of a dust storm. What isn't honored, what isn't treated with reverence and gentle care, risks becoming contaminated, festering rather than healing. There comes a moment in life, particularly after accumulating decades of experience, when you simply cannot, should not, keep repeating the painful narrative of what others failed to give you, what promises they broke, what expectations they never lived up to. This isn't about forgetting the past, nor is it about denying your feelings. No, this is about a profound truth. Your dignity can no longer depend on being perpetually understood or validated for your suffering by those who contributed to it, or by those who are ill-equipped to comprehend its depth. The Stoic path through pain is neither denial nor repression. It is, beautifully, transmutation. It is the alchemical process of turning the raw, searing wound into hardened wisdom, a deep understanding of self and others, without the incessant need to expose it, to re-narrate it every time someone innocently asks, "How are you doing?" Epictetus, the wise former slave-turned-philosopher, put it with crystalline clarity. It's not things that disturb us, but our opinion of them. When you allow your pain to become your core identity, when you cling to that story of disappointment, endlessly repeating it in the desperate hope for relief or recognition, all you tragically do is anchor it deeper within your own being. Instead of facilitating healing, it settles in, becoming a fixed narrative, a ready excuse, a constant shadow that precedes you. There is something profoundly powerful you can do right now with this understanding. Sit down and write a letter you will never send. Pour onto that page every single raw emotion, everything you ever wanted to say, every hurt that pierced you, every hope you desperately clung to but never received. Unleash all the unspoken words, all the suppressed tears, all the frustration. Then, consciously choose. Keep it as a testament to your resilience, or burn it as a symbolic release, watching the smoke carry the burden away. But whatever you do, do not explain it to the person who let you down. Do not chase after them, hoping, praying that they will finally understand the damage they inflicted. Because whoever was fundamentally absent in your moment of pain, whoever failed to show up for your suffering, will most certainly not be present or capable of understanding your explanation now. This act of withholding your narrative isn't silence born of fear or weakness. It is a conscious, deeply empowered choice about where you place your sacred truths. Your heart, like a precious garden, desperately needs clean, fertile soil to continue growing, to flourish with new life and purpose. You cannot, indefinitely, keep planting new seeds in the emotional rubble of what never was, in the barren landscape of past disappointments. If this profound reflection is helping you see things from a new, perhaps liberating perspective, I invite you to become a part of our growing community. Consider subscribing to the Stoic Philosophy channel and clicking the like button on this video. We are not here merely to be entertained. We are here to wake up, to consciously choose a path of greater clarity and resilience. I would love to know which country you're listening from, and if this message deeply resonates with you. Leave a comment with the powerful phrase, "I choose my silence." There are still more powerful truths ahead, and the last one, believe me, might just be the most freeing of all. Don't go anywhere. The deepest part, the most transformative insight, is yet to come. Part 4. Don't apologize for living differently. After choosing silence with dignity, after allowing the soul to begin clearing out its most hidden corners, just when you think you've made room for something truly new and liberating, a quiet, insidious trap often appears. One that subtly chains you all over again, almost imperceptibly. And now it is time to talk about the fourth, profoundly liberating truth. Don't apologize for living differently. This is perhaps one of the cruelest mistakes we make, precisely because it is so subtle at first. It infiltrates our lives like politeness, like a genuine need to please, to not be a bother, to be accommodating. Think of the ubiquitous, seemingly harmless phrases, "Sorry, I can't." "Sorry, I'm not available." "Sorry for putting myself first." These small, seemingly innocuous expressions hide a constant, insidious surrender to the expectations and demands of others. The problem isn't that you are being polite. The problem is that you have, perhaps for years, spent your precious energy and time apologizing for living on your own terms, as if every personal decision you make were inherently a selfish act that required immediate and thorough justification. This pervasive habit often stems from deeply ingrained patterns, perhaps from a lifetime of being made to feel that you only truly deserve love, acceptance, or worth if you are perpetually useful, if you are always available, if you never, ever make waves. You were likely raised on a steady diet of guilt, where perhaps from a very young age you were taught, explicitly or implicitly, that others come first. Taken to its extreme, this turns into a kind of profound invisibility where you begin to exist primarily, if not exclusively, for others. Your identity becomes intertwined with your utility to those around you. But then a pivotal moment arrives. You finally decide, perhaps subtly at first, that you are not going to babysit the grandchildren every single day, even when you're exhausted. You choose not to attend every family gathering where you're primarily expected to serve, to cater, to be the ever-present, tireless orchestrator. You make the courageous decision not to spend what little precious time, energy, or resources you have left on other people's endless problems, especially when they refuse to take responsibility for their own lives. At this profound juncture, your newfound freedom, this burgeoning sense of personal liberation, can paradoxically begin to scare you. You then feel an overwhelming, almost instinctual need to explain, to justify, to ask for explicit permission just to be your authentic self. Marcus Aurelius, that beacon of Stoic wisdom, continually reminded us that living in peace means living in alignment. Alignment with our true nature, our deepest values, and our rational choices. But there can be no true alignment, no genuine peace, if every single step you take is immediately followed by a defensive apology solely for choosing yourself, for honoring your own needs. Living differently after 60, especially after a lifetime of compromise and accommodation, is not an act of betrayal. It is profoundly a victory. It is the culmination of years of learning, of growth, of finally understanding what truly nourishes your soul. However, not everyone in your life will see it that way. Some will inevitably say you've changed, that you're not the same anymore, that you've become selfish. They don't say this out of malice in every case. Often they say it because they can no longer control you, no longer easily rely on your endless well of self-sacrifice. When a woman, particularly one who has been the pillar of so many lives, stops being merely functional and begins to embody her newfound freedom, it profoundly unsettles those who have grown comfortable, even dependent on her constant self-sacrifice. So, do not apologize for uttering that sacred, self-preserving word, no. Do not apologize for resting when your body and spirit demand it. Do not apologize for wanting less noise, fewer demands, less exhaustion in your life. This is not a small life. It is a life that has profoundly earned the right to serenity, to tranquility, to joy on its own terms. Every single time you apologize for living the way you choose, you inadvertently give away a precious piece of your soul, a sliver of your hard-won peace. And believe me, after all you've given throughout your life, you have already given more than enough. True inner peace, the kind that permeates your very being, does not and never will come from other people's approval or fleeting compliments. It comes solely and powerfully from self-respect. And respecting yourself also means cultivating the profound wisdom of staying silent when pressured to explain your perfectly valid choices. Because at this glorious stage in your life, if they genuinely don't understand your choices, if they can't grasp your need for peace and autonomy, it is no longer your job, your burden, to endlessly explain them. It is unequivocally their job to accept them. And if they are incapable of doing that, if their comfort relies on your endless sacrifice, then that, my dear, is no longer your problem to solve. This is where many falter, where they give in to the old pressures. But you are not many. You are here, and you are right on time. Because the day you stop justifying yourself, the day you truly embody this fierce self-respect, is the day a new kind of freedom, one that smells unmistakably of reclaimed dignity, powerfully begins. Part 5. Don't share your plans with people who don't really listen. And when you stop justifying your boundaries, when you learn to say no without flinching, something profound within you begins to realign. It's not always comfortable at first. The silence that sometimes follows when you're no longer perpetually available can feel cold, even isolating. But that precisely is where clarity begins to crystallize. Yet there remains one final insidious silent trap that still lingers for many, even after making all these other courageous changes. This brings us to the 5th crucial truth. Don't share your plans with people who don't really listen. This is where the cycle of subtle discouragement often begins, quietly, insidiously eroding your enthusiasm before it even has a chance to fully ignite. You, with a rekindled spark of life, might tentatively tell someone about a new endeavor you wish to embark upon, perhaps enrolling in a course you've always dreamed of, planning a solo trip to a place that calls to your soul, considering a move to a quieter town, or simply starting a small, passion-driven project that fills your days with purpose. And instead of the bracing wind of support, the nurturing warmth of encouragement, you receive something entirely different, a dismissive chuckle, a subtle judgment veiled as realistic advice, or, most damaging of all, chilling indifference. Without even realizing it, each lukewarm comment, each skeptical glance, each unspoken doubt from others begins to dim the vibrant spark that was just starting to catch fire within you. This is precisely how enthusiasm dies in later life, not with shouting or overt opposition, but with those quiet, dismissive silences, those subtly discouraging remarks that imply your aspirations are trivial, unrealistic, or simply too late for someone your age. When you consistently share your nascent ideas, your fragile dreams, with someone who simply cannot or will not hold them with the care they deserve, you inevitably begin to doubt yourself. You start to question your own judgment. You wonder if it's truly worth the effort, if you're being foolishly unrealistic. You tell yourself, maybe at my age it's not the time to experiment. You postpone, you procrastinate, convincing yourself that your plans can wait until they inexorably morph into never. And that's when frustration, not loud or dramatic, but thick and suffocating like a dense fog, begins to settle in. Your spirit dims. Your body feels it too. Energy drops, days feel heavier, and you gradually convince yourself that it's simply better not to expect anything new. The insidious lie you tell yourself is that life has somehow stopped offering you possibilities. But the profound truth is that you've been showing those possibilities in the wrong place, exposing them to barren soil where they cannot take root. Marcus Aurelius, with his keen insight into the human mind, wisely stated, "The soul becomes what it thinks." And if you continuously give your deepest, most cherished thoughts and nascent plans to ears that simply do not value them, to minds that are closed to possibility, your soul inevitably begins to shrink. Because every plan, every dream, every quiet aspiration born from the heart needs fertile ground to grow. If you plant it where there is only scorn, apathy, or thinly disguised disapproval, it will wither and die before it even has a chance to truly live. It is painful, yes, but it is a necessary, liberating realization. Not everyone deserves to know your next step. Not everyone possesses the maturity, the vision, or the generosity of spirit to understand that at 70, at 80, a woman can, and often must, begin again. And you do not need to embark on the exhausting task of convincing them. You simply need to protect yourself, to guard your precious energy and your sacred dreams. The only way to decisively break this pattern of subtle discouragement is to fundamentally change where you place your trust, where you cast your seeds. This doesn't mean closing yourself off completely from the world. It means choosing wisely, with discerning eyes and an awakened spirit. Share your profound plans, your deepest aspirations, with those rare individuals who have open hearts, clear eyes, and a genuine capacity for joy in your blossoming. And if you are fortunate enough to find such allies, cherish them. But if you don't immediately find anyone in your immediate circle who fits this description, then speak your plans to yourself. Write them down in a private journal. Declare them aloud in your own sacred space, facing a mirror or whispering them to the wind. Because the very first, most crucial step in any new beginning is not that others believe in you, it is that you believe in yourself. Do not look for your reflection, your validation, in a broken, distorted mirror. Do not seek support from those who only know how to take, to diminish, or to project their own limitations onto your boundless spirit. What you dream of, no matter how small or how grand it may seem to the outside world, deserves immense care and protection. And if you choose not to speak of it, not to reveal it to the world until it has become a tangible, undeniable reality, that is not an act of fear. That is an act of profound wisdom, because true respect is also practiced in silence. And at this magnificent stage in your life, your energy, your precious life force, is far too invaluable to waste explaining what is already truly within you. If you fail to choose carefully who you share your plans with, your most vital aspirations will tragically end up in the hands of deaf ears, stifled before they can even breathe. Part 6. Don't justify setting boundaries. But there's something even more serious than stifled dreams, something that silently erodes your inner strength day by day while you ceaselessly strive to meet everyone else's expectations. This brings us to the sixth, incredibly vital truth. Don't justify setting boundaries. Imagine for a profound moment that your body, your very being, becomes a house with no doors, no locks, no walls. Everyone comes in whenever they want, uninvited. Everyone takes what they need from your pantry, from your spirit, from your time. Everyone makes noise, creating chaos, disrupting your peace. Everyone leaves their mess behind, leaving you to clean up the emotional debris. No one knocks, no one asks for permission, no one cleans up after invading your sacred space. And there you are, standing utterly exhausted, profoundly confused, unsure how you ever ended up living this way, how your sanctuary became a public thoroughfare. That precisely is what happens when you consistently fail to set firm, unambiguous boundaries. You effectively become public property. Everyone feels entitled to a piece of you, entitled to your time, your energy, your emotional labor. But here's the harsh, liberating truth at this stage in life. No one feels genuinely grateful. Continuing to endlessly explain why you can't do something, why you don't want to engage, or why you simply shouldn't do something, only feeds the pervasive, insidious guilt that others are already subtly or overtly using against you. They make you feel bad, profoundly guilty for uttering the word no. They make you feel selfish for resting, for prioritizing your own well-being, for not instantly jumping to fulfill every single demand hurled in your direction. And the saddest, most insidious part is that this manipulation, this relentless pressure, often comes wrapped in the comforting, deceptive guise of affection. It's just a small favor. You're the only one who truly understands. If you don't do it, who possibly will? That's how the trap is masterfully set. With sweetness, with obligation, with that twisted, deeply ingrained idea that if you don't perpetually give in, you are inherently selfish, ungrateful, or uncaring. But let me tell you something that perhaps no one else has ever had the courage to say aloud. You do not owe your entire life, your very being, to anyone. You have already given so much, beyond measure. You have been a mother, a wife, a daughter, a ceaseless caregiver, a loyal friend, the unshakable pillar upon which everyone else leaned. You have lost countless hours of sleep, left your own dreams unfinished, stayed quiet, and swallowed your truth to keep a fragile peace, to avoid conflict. You did it out of boundless love, out of a profound sense of duty, out of deep-seated habit. But now, you are here, at this sacred juncture. And if you continue to endlessly justify every single boundary you try to erect, every hesitant no you utter, you are in essence asking for explicit permission just to exist, just to claim a sliver of your own life. And you know what the inevitable, devastating result is? You get sick. You burn out, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And worst of all, people, even those who claim to love you, subtly yet fundamentally, stop respecting your time, your body, your precious soul. The visualization is stark, but critically important. Picture yourself 1 year from now, 5 years from now, if absolutely nothing changes. If you continue to say yes when every fiber of your being screams no, if you continue to care for everyone else except for the magnificent, weary woman looking back at you in the mirror, what will your face look like? What will your spirit resemble? What will be left of your vital energy? The answer hurts deeply, but it is necessary, because no one, absolutely no one, is coming to save you from that self-imposed prison if you are the one steadfastly holding the door wide open. So, here is the liberating command. Don't justify yourself. Simply set the boundary and stay silent. Don't explain. Don't ask for permission. Respect isn't something to be endlessly negotiated or pleaded for. It is something you claim firmly and unequivocally. And if someone walks away from your life because they cannot handle your newly established limits, because their comfort depended solely on your perpetual self-sacrifice, then they were never truly there out of genuine love. They were there, purely and simply, for their own convenience. This is precisely where many individuals give in, where they buckle under the pressure. But you are not many. You are here listening to this truth, and you are right on time. Because the day you stop justifying yourself, the day you simply are, without apology, is the day a new kind of profound, unshakable freedom truly begins. A freedom that smells distinctly of dignity reclaimed, of a life finally lived on your own terms. The unfolding, your undefended dignity. We have journeyed through the quiet corridors of self-discovery, confronting the profound truths that beckon us towards a deeper, more authentic existence. We've seen how silence can be a shield for our dignity, rather than a prison for our voice. We've explored the subtle yet insidious ways we diminish our own magnificent presence by endlessly explaining, justifying, and seeking external validation for our sacred choices. We've peeled back the layers of societal expectation, uncovering the insidious habit of apologizing for living differently, for honoring our own needs, and for choosing peace over endless obligation. We've recognized the silent erosion that occurs when we cast our nascent dreams before unlistening ears, and understood the critical imperative of setting boundaries without explanation. Each truth, a stepping stone, each realization, a deeper breath of freedom. But the true climax, the profound, soul-stirring turning point in this sacred journey, isn't merely in what you choose to withhold. It isn't simply about the power of not speaking. No, the real liberation, the incandescent moment of truth, lies in what you courageously reclaim. It is the breathtaking realization that your dignity, your inherent worth, your unassailable value, your right to exist fully and authentically, is not and has never been a negotiation. It is not something you beg for, earn, or defend. It is a profound, non-negotiable declaration. This is the moment of clarity, the quiet roar of a soul finally understanding its own sovereignty. It's the point where the incessant need to justify yourself to your children, to your friends, to society, even to your own ingrained fears, simply dissolves. The shackles of should and must fall away, revealing a vast, open landscape of self-acceptance. When you truly grasp, deep in your bones, that your peace, your wisdom, your very essence requires absolutely no external validation or explanation, that is the very instant a new, breathtaking, and utterly unshakable freedom bursts forth within you. Imagine the profound weight lifting from your shoulders, a lifetime spent navigating the labyrinth of expectations, of trying to fit into molds, of seeking approval, suddenly gives way to an effortless grace. This freedom doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It permeates your being like a warm, ancient light. It is the palpable shift from a life lived to please others, to a life lived in profound alignment with your deepest, most authentic self. It is the cessation of the internal argument, the relentless self-critique, the exhausting quest for external validation. The silence that follows the release of these burdens is not an empty void. It is pregnant with possibility, brimming with the quiet confidence of one who knows who she is and what she deserves. It's the profound, resonant sound of your own unyielding heartbeat, a rhythm of self-respect that needs no external melody to validate its existence. This is the wisdom that Stoics like Seneca spoke of, the inner citadel, built not with stone, but with conviction, reason, and an unwavering commitment to one's own virtue and tranquility. You become the master of your internal kingdom, no longer swayed by external storms. This is the promise. The day you truly cease to justify yourself, the moment you embody the profound understanding that your peace needs no explanation, is the day a new kind of freedom begins. A freedom that doesn't just smell of hard-won self-respect, but radiates with the quiet, undeniable power of a life finally lived on its own terms, for its own inherent joy. It's the subtle shift in your posture, the calm in your eyes, the profound stillness that emanates from your very core. You stop being a reaction to the world, and you become the quiet, powerful force that shapes your own. This is not merely an intellectual understanding, it is a visceral, transformative experience. This is your climax. This is your undefended dignity. Conclusion. If you've journeyed with me through these profound reflections, it's not out of idle curiosity or a passive desire for entertainment. No, if you've made it this far, it's because something within you deeply resonates with these truths. It's because you are genuinely tired of living halfway, of giving ground where none should be surrendered, and of endlessly explaining your deepest self to people who, frankly, don't deserve the privilege of such vulnerability. You're ready for more. We've peeled back the layers of expectation, revealing the silent burdens we've carried. We've seen how the need to justify our physical limitations can lead to a desperate, unfulfilled plea for empathy. We've explored the quiet strength in refusing to explain our chosen solitude, embracing it as a sacred wellspring of peace. We've confronted the corrosive effect of revealing our deepest disappointments to unlistening ears, and understood the liberating power of transmuting pain into wisdom. We've unearthed the insidious trap of apologizing for living authentically, for claiming our well-earned right to define our own path. We've recognized the vital importance of guarding our nascent dreams from the dismissive attitudes of others. And crucially, we've grasped the absolute necessity of setting boundaries without explanation, claiming our dignity without negotiation. And even if some of these 9 truths stung, even if they pricked at old habits or confronted deeply ingrained fears, they also, I hope, revealed something absolutely essential and profoundly hopeful. You are still remarkably on time. Not on time to go back, to retreat or to regret, but on time to draw a clear, unwavering line. A powerful demarcation between the person you were once compelled to be by external pressures, by societal expectations, by ingrained guilt, and the magnificent, authentic being you now choose to become. There is no more room for denial, no more space for passive waiting for permission that will never truly come. The transformation you seek, the deeper peace and strength you yearn for, doesn't begin with a grand external act. It begins subtly yet powerfully when you consciously choose silence. Not out of fear, not out of resignation, but out of a fierce, unshakable inner strength. It begins when you finally stop trying to convince anyone of your worth, when you cease endlessly justifying your profound peace, and when you let go of the relentless, exhausting chase for external approval. And that, for many, is still an unacceptable, even terrifying proposition. That is precisely why not everyone makes it to this point in the conversation. Not everyone truly grasps these truths, but you did. And that, my dear friend, means you are ready for something far deeper than mere comfort or fleeting reassurance. You are ready for direction. You are ready for profound, lasting change. If you've journeyed with me through these profound reflections, it's clear you're not here by accident. It's because you're deeply tired of living halfway, of giving ground where none should be surrendered, and of endlessly explaining your deepest self to people who, frankly, don't deserve the privilege of such vulnerability. You're ready for more. I invite you now to make a powerful declaration. Leave a comment below with the phrase, "My silence is power." This isn't just a slogan. It's a clear sign that you are awake, that you are actively taking charge of what you allow into your sacred space and what you bravely withhold. Let me know what country you're watching from. I love connecting with our global community. This channel, The Stoic Philosophy, exists for one strong reason: to offer profound truth to those who are done with half-truths and superficial comforts. Here in this space, I won't promise you an easy life, but I will promise a life lived with unwavering clarity, profound self-respect, and undeniable direction. You didn't come this far to be merely entertained. You came to rise, to face what's still ahead, and to powerfully decide that this next magnificent chapter of your life belongs solely to you, not to anyone else. To ensure you don't miss any of our transformative insights, I urge you to subscribe to the Stoic Philosophy channel now. Do it not out of obligation, but because this is a dedicated space for individuals who have decided to stop waiting for permission to truly exist. And if this message stirred something deep within you, if it resonated with a truth you've long felt but rarely articulated, please consider sharing this video with someone who also needs to wake up, even if it makes them uncomfortable. Sometimes one timely phrase, one powerful idea can fundamentally change the course of a life. Don't let this newfound clarity fade. If you feel this message ignited something vital inside you, don't leave it on pause. Choose one of the other videos on screen right now and keep going. Because if one thing is abundantly clear after today, it's that the conversation that matters most is just getting started. Thank you for dedicating your valuable time to this journey of self-discovery. May your path ahead be filled with profound peace, unshakable strength, and authentic joy.
Thank you for watching this video here on the Stoic philosophy. If you found value in this, I invite you to explore more videos on the channel. There's so much more wisdom to uncover. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next one. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.